But first, we got to lead off with this story. It's about Samantha Bee. Now, many of you don't know who Samantha Bee is because you don't watch TBS. You don't watch TBS, you're not into Samantha Bee, you don't know who she is, whatever, okay? I don't watch the show either. And that's no diss to Samantha Bee, I don't have time, man. But Samantha Bee has made a lot of news because Samantha Bee made some comments last night on her show. And I think she made the comments on the show to make the news, okay? So I think they go hand in hand. Let me explain why she's in the news and why she made these comments. Samantha Bee calls Ivanka a feckless blunt with a C. Samantha Bee calls Ivanka Trump a feckless blunt, but take the B out, put a C. Yeah, this is daytime, man. Some mothers might be watching, some fathers may be watching, man, their kids around. All right, so you get it. The name of Samantha Bee's show is Full Frontal. So, like, the people there at the show, people watch her show, they're not surprised by her using the C word. In fact, she's used it many times before. She just didn't use it in reference to Ivanka Trump. All right? So let's get that there. But many people are saying that Samantha Bee using that term, if you want to get rid of Roseanne's show, you should get rid of Samantha Bee's show because it's racist. It's, I don't know, what is it? It's not nice. It's not nice to call women that word. It's a bad word. Sarah Huckabee Sanders made a comment during the White House press briefing where she talked about it, and she called for the job. She's like, if you want to be fair, you don't want to be hypocritical. Samantha Bee said this, and why aren't you going after her? You went after Roseanne. And of course, I'm paraphrasing this, but that's basically what she said. Somewhere, I guess, insulting someone is the same as saying a racist thing. A lot of people don't believe that what Roseanne said was racist at all. They have no context of derogatory words said about black people. And then we're going into the whole thing about, is Valerie Jarrett. Now, I'm sorry. You might not even know about this, right? You may have a job and you're busy doing what you're doing. You got family issues. You got real things going on in your life. You don't have time to be connected to social media in that way. And for that, I would just like to say you're lucky because it's tiring. But Roseanne Barr, she tweets a lot, okay? Not only does she, had the show Roseanne, but she had another job, which is typing stuff on Twitter. Okay, so in one of her Twitter sprees, she made some comments, and one of those comments was about Valerie Jarrett, who a former White House, constant person in the White House, right? Like, she's I didn't even know didn't know her name. I just saw her all the time with Obama. Here's the thing, Roseanne Barr said that she looked like the Planet, a cast. She was a mix between a Muslim Brotherhood something and a Planet of the Apes character or whatever. So some people don't see that as racist. Some people do. I see it as racist. I see it as bigoted statement because, I happen to know the history of black people in using apes and monkeys and simians and something between an ape and a human being. They call it a simian, and I know about it. And pretty much, if you ever have the pleasure of being trolled by white nationalists or skinheads or neo-Nazis or whatever they call themselves, I don't know, alt-right, I don't know, then you will, I have, and I've been called these names. So anyway, Roseanne, she said, hey, I didn't mean it that way, and now it's morphed into, she does look kind of, she looks, I can't tell, she looks Persian. I think the last iteration was she thought that Valerie Jarrett looked Jewish. She didn't know. Anyway. So now people are up in arms. And I also would like to mention, I wouldn't immediately thought that. I was kind of giving Roseanne a little bit of room on the whole Planet of the Apes initially, until I've realized that she only a couple years ago, she used the same, she referred to Suzanne Rice, another Obama White House, whatever. I forget her position. What was she? The fall guy for Benghazi. Okay. The one they put out to say that it was all based on a movie. I would have gave Roseanne a pass maybe if it wasn't for the fact that in 2013 she used an ape reference to Suzanne Rice, who I don't know if you can tell or not, but she's also black. I don't know why she does these things. I don't know why. I don't know why. Okay, I don't know why she did it. Then she said she did it because she's a comedian. Then she said she did it because she was taking Ambien. Okay, so that's all of it. It's a whole bunch of other stuff. It's fireworks and lightning, thunder, hailstorms, and people bickering, and it's all this. And it's led us to the point where we're calling, well, not we. Some people are calling for supporters of Trump, who are also supporters of Roseanne, which are not synonymous, because you could have voted for Trump because you're like, hey, I'm tired of the Clintons, and I'm tired of the Bushes, and I don't know who Jill Stein is, and I don't care who Gary Johnson is, so I'm going to vote for this guy. That doesn't mean you watch Roseanne. It doesn't mean you support Roseanne or you support her statements. Bottom line is, these people that do support Roseanne and support Trump or whatever, they're upset. And they want everybody who's liberal or on the left or whatever to be fired. They want them to be fired because Roseanne lost her show. I forgot to mention that. Roseanne lost her show. Okay. And it didn't take long. It took less than 24 hours. Like within 12 hours, I think, ABC pulled the show, and the show was a very popular show. So now here we go. Here's the thing. And this is going to be going on for a while, so settle in and get ready to hear this constantly. Because everybody, well, not everybody. A lot of people feel that Roseanne got the shaft. She was treated unfairly. Donald Trump chimed in a tweet. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is talking about it on the White House press conference. We got people writing about it. We got a lot of Twitter heads going crazy. The Twitter fingers are very anxious and busy and full of energy on this issue. So Samantha B. She refers to Ivanka this way. Let me get the context of the reference, why Samantha B said it. I think she said it, once again, I think she said it to get attention. I think she said it to get a news cycle. She did. I don't think you use a word like that at a time like this with all this going on, when it's all like we all know that anybody on social media, and if you are someone in Hollywood or if you are someone on the show and you do the news, which is what Samantha B does, she does her take on the news from her own perspective, she would have to know that they're calling for the heads of people in order to get sort of, equal treatment, or what they consider equal treatment on how people are censored or not censored for comments that they make. Ah, gosh, man. This is taking too long. All right, so Samantha B, she said she made the comment. Here's the context, guys. Samantha B called Ivanka a feckless word I cannot say. This is Sarah Huckabee Sanders, beginning with a C. And here's the context. I got it now. On Wednesday night's Full Frontal, B decried news the federal government's Office of Refugee Resettlement in 2017 had lost 1,500 migrant children. Tearing children away from their parents is so evil, it's the inciting incident in almost every movie we've ever cared about. Attorney Jeff Sessions announced that people trying to come into the country without documentation would be separated from their children. They would be put into foster care or whatever, as White House Chief of Staff John Kelly had described the plan. The practice actually predates Trump, B noted. So Samantha B did give notice that, hey, I know Trump didn't invent separation. Once again, Trump did not invent separation of refugees, family members. Okay? For some reason, like, a lot of people are not getting that. So I give Samantha B for credit for mentioning that because, yeah, as someone who does their damnedest, man, and I really do try to call it straight. I don't work for the Democrats or the Republicans. That's why I can say Roseanne's comment was racist in my opinion. It's because I'm an independent. And then we got these corny people coming out saying, it's not racist, it's not racist. That happen just to be Republicans, or they eat off the Republican side of the game. So anyway, and the same thing with the Democrats. I'm not a Democrat either, so I can call out the Democrats. And I can say, yeah, Obama separated too. Obama was the deporter-in-chief. Obama was the deporter-in-chief. Trump is trying to take the title, though. But yeah, and my people in the Latino, Hispanic community. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but you guys are well aware of that, right? You already know. I'm late. Like, I was late to the game when I came aware of it in 2015. You've known it for years. You've probably known it since 2000, what, 8, 9, 10? All right, so anyway, let me keep going. No march against, it should be marching against Obama's ass on that. A number of lost children has been reported in the news, about 1,500 lost children, okay? And I'm going to handle that in a minute, but that was the context. So Samantha B, she says, you know, Ivanka, that's a beautiful photo of you and your child. It was a picture of Ivanka and her child, okay? And she says, but let me just say, from one mother to another mother, do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckled blunt. All right, so that's all I got to say about that particular portion of it. Now, let's get on to something about that, okay? That was what was said. That's why people are upset. They want Samantha B's show canceled. They want it off TBS. You got the whole background. Let's debunk, please, for the love of Christ, JFC, this whole thing about the 1,500 missing children. Now, Samantha B runs a news show. Samantha B has staff. I have a friend. Her name is Autumn. She helps look up stories for me. I have people who send me stories intermittently, but Autumn sends me a lot of stuff. Autumn, thank you so much. But I don't have a staff. I can't pay Autumn. Hell, I can't pay myself, okay? But Samantha B doesn't have that problem. Samantha B has a staff. She has writers. She has researchers. She has all this stuff. And what I'm about to tell you was too much work for her to do. Okay? It was too much work for her to do what I'm about to do right now off 3 hours sleep with no staff. Okay? Now, before you say, Tim, I'm sure this article you're about to read, this is from some alt-right news agency. No, it's not. It's from CNN. That's right. Fake news. This is where the article's from. This is the article that I will use to debunk Samantha B's claims, her rhetoric, her hyperbole, her insinuations, her insults, using the backdrop of what? 1,500 migrant children snatched away from their parents. Here we go. CNN. It's entitled, Here's What Really Happened with the 1,500 Missing Immigrant Children. The past few days have been a flurry of emotion and misinformation regarding children immigrants in the United States. Recent reports claim that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has lost track of nearly 1,500 immigrant children. There's confusion about whether they were separated from their families at the border, and controversy swirling around a mysterious photo of 2 immigrant children. Here's what it actually means. The people that circulated on the corporate media side of the game, okay, corporate media, and they thought it was taken recently. So they circulated it, right? Because, you know, bad Trump, evil Trump. Then we find out, no, that picture's actually from 2014 under Obama when he had immigrant children in cages. And then all of a sudden they took it down. And that's the reason why I do this job. Well, it's one of the reasons why I do it. Because you need to know truth. This is in very bold typing. It says, no, the 1,500 children weren't necessarily taken from their families at the border. They were not. Not necessarily. In early May, the Trump administration announced it would start enacting a 100% prosecution policy at the border, which would refer anyone crossing the border illegally for federal prosecution. This policy functionally separates children from their families because children cannot occupy or accompany adults who are taken into federal custody. Because of the attention surrounding this new policy, people revisited a claim made by Stephen Wagner, a top official with the Department of Human and Health Services. During a hearing in April, during the hearing, Wagner said, the Office of Refugee Resettlement, or the ORR, was unable to determine with certainty the whereabouts of 1,475 unaccompanied alien children. That's their words. That's what they use. UAC, unaccompanied alien children. Some people begin to inflate or conflate Wagner's comment and the new policy, forming the idea that these children were forcibly separated from their families at the border and then lost. The claim of 1,500 children being missing is based on data that was ascertained before Trump's policy of 100% prosecution had taken effect. You get what I'm saying? You feel me? You feel me? In fact, unaccompanied children or child immigrants, which is what they should have called them instead of undocumented aliens and shit. But why piss people off? Why insult people when you don't have to? All right. Anyway, in fact, unaccompanied children or child immigrants don't come over the border with their families, hence the designation of unaccompanied. Some of the 1,500 children could have been separated from the groups which they entered the country with, but it would not have been as a result of the Trump administration's policy. For instance, if a child comes with an adult and it can't be verified that that adult is a parent or legal guardian, the adult and child will be separated. If you bring a child to the United States, you cross the border illegally, you can't prove that's your child, they separate you. That's probably been a policy. I don't know how long that's been a policy. Probably been a policy for a long time. Maybe people are trafficking children. I don't know. Something I keep hearing people talk about they want to stop. I would love to stop it. I think, of course, any decent human being doesn't want human trafficking. Let's keep going. The way it has worked is when a child comes into the U.S. without a parent or legal guardian, if there is a parent or guardian or relative already here, they will be placed with that person as a sponsor while they are undergoing the immigration hearings. This was said by Jennifer Ward, an immigration and family services expert who spent 10 years as executive director of a refugee resettlement agency in Tennessee. Ward says the ORR typically makes a follow-up welfare call or visit to the sponsor a few weeks or months after the child is placed. According to Wagner, such an action is part of the ORR's practice or process. But the agency is not legally responsible for the children after they are released from ORR. So let's recap just that part, man, because, and bear with me, because we need to take the time so everybody understands it and everybody gets it, so that you have friends, family members, people, whatever that you talk to, that you can communicate this to them. The Trump policy of the 100% prosecution of anybody coming over the border illegally didn't go into effect when when this number, 1,475, it's not even 1,500, 1,475 children were deemed untraceable. Those children who can't be verified to be with this parent or not or whatever, those children are placed with guardians or relatives or guardians who are sponsors. They become sponsors. Then those children are no longer the responsibility of ORR. But they do sometimes do follow-up calls a week or a couple months later or stop by visits. I don't know. That's what they say. Okay. The next masthead here is, no, they are most likely not missing. Once again, this is not me getting this off Breitbart. This is not me hollering at Rush Limbaugh. I say, Rush Limbaugh, send me talking points. I don't watch much Rush Limbaugh. I don't follow his lead. I've never communicated with the man. I'm telling you this from the Clinton News Network. And so, this whole fake news thing where you gotta, is this fake news? Because it suits your agenda right now. Is it fake news? I know CNN puts out bad stuff sometimes. I know. But what I'm saying, this one, it doesn't appear to be so. Okay? Trying to fool you, Tim. Listen. No, they are most likely not missing is what they say. And here they go on to explain. When it comes to children, phrases like unable to determine whereabouts never inspire comfort, especially when people assume it's a result of a child being ripped from their families, but the reality is a little bit different. There could be a lot of reasons for why 1,475 children were unaccounted for, Ward says. The sponsors may be undocumented themselves. They may change their phone number. The requirement is just a phone call. You don't necessarily have to go check on the child physically, although some do. I want to put this in a way that you get it, all right? A way that makes sense. Here's an analogy. You know when you go buy a car, you know that when you go buy a car? You buy a car usually as a customer service, sort of like outreach, to kind of create a relationship or to say that they did their job or whatever. You know, customers follow, the salespeople follow up with you. Maybe the salesperson, somebody from the office will call up and say, hey, so I see you came in the office. How was your trip? How was the service? How did they treat you? Did they tell you all about the car? Were you satisfied with your treatment? How was the customer service? That is the equivalent of what's happening with ORR. If they don't reach you, how many times they try to reach you? I'm just saying. If you dodge that call one time, you probably won't get another call, right? ORR is not required to do more than that. I don't even know if they're required to do it. They said once you are with the guardian, once you're with a family member or relative, you're no longer the responsibility of ORR. So how much time do you really think they spend trying to track this to see, like, you know, whatever? Not much. They're under no obligation to do so. A couple of reasons why they may not be able to reach the person may be, well, maybe they're calling these people and they're saying, okay, well, I have somebody else in my household who's undocumented. I don't want any contact with law enforcement. That's not a crazy thing for these people not to want, you know, given the climate of what's going on right now with all the deportations, right? So maybe they don't want people to know. In fact, I saw a fantastic tweet about this where a person very knowledgeable in these immigration proceedings, how these things are happening, how they're taken out, the process of it, was saying that these people might not want to be contacted, and maybe for their safety, you don't want them to be contacted. With all the deportations going on, would you risk your cousin, your sister, your mother, your daughter, would you risk a family member for another child? You wouldn't put everybody at risk. Anyway, let me keep going. The other thing is, if the phone number got changed, if they lost the phone, if the number's blocked, I don't know. They dropped their iPhone, I don't know. Okay, let's keep going. Now, Wagner goes on to say that sponsors who are, and they use undocumented, probably do not want to be reached by federal authorities. In a conference call with reporters organized by the White House on Tuesday, Wagner said the 30-day check-in phone calls in those cases simply weren't answered. He compared the outcry over the lost children to calling a friend and when they don't answer, assuming they were kidnapped. In reality, he said, many of the adults may also be undocumented. You can imagine that many of those who may not choose to speak to a federal official calling them on the phone. Probably think the phone's tapped. They probably think that they got the GPS on it. They're calling you just to make sure you're there so they can come get you. A lot of stuff. Okay, so we got that. Let's move on. It does go on to say it doesn't mean everything's fine. Obviously, the idea that young immigrants and their families would not want them to be accounted for by the government speaks to an impossible question. Are the children better off not being accounted for? Some immigration experts have said that the ORR not trying to keep track of children could be a good thing because the kids can live their lives without constant fear of deportation. That fear that the ORR is working in concert with ICE to facilitate deportations, everything I just said, everything. I did such a good job. I'm just saying what they're saying in this article. Yeah. I'm doing a decent job of explaining it, I hope. This article is available on CNN's website. Don't go read it, but, well, go read it if to verify it. Just verify it's there, okay? So, this all begs the question, what do I think about Samantha Bee's comment? What do I think should happen for calling Ivanka Trump a blunt? A feckless blunt. Well, two things. First of all, the word feckless, who laughs at that? I don't know. Who uses that? Get better writers, Samantha Bee, first of all. Better writers. Second of all, no, I don't think she should be fired for that. She should not be fired because she insulted Ivanka Trump. Ivanka Trump is not going to die because she was called a blunt. She's just not. She'll be fine. She'll walk it off. She's very privileged. She's lived a great life. She's living a great life. She's been called worse. She probably just doesn't know about it. Okay? It's not a slur. It's bad. It's mean. It's not a slur, guys. It's not a racial slur. To a group of people, right, that have been demoralized using this slur, okay? A woman calling another woman, a white woman calling another white woman a blunt is not the same thing as a rich white woman calling a rich black woman a monkey or look like a monkey. But before you think that's it, it's not it. I do think Samantha Bee should be fired or lose her show for giving out bogus information. I do think that, though. I believe that she should have to have certain level of responsibility for what she reports. I believe she should not feed into the hysteria of having everybody worried and all these people up in arms about these children when she has no facts at all. When even CNN is reporting that, hey, Samantha, now we really don't know if the children are any. We just made a phone call. Once again, if Tim Black wants staff of one, though my son helps with editing from time to time, and I really appreciate you, son. Love you. Help from Autumn, my friend, with some story ideas. Help from those in the Tim Black Wolfpack who send me stories from time to time to cover suggestions, and anybody who does. If I can uncover this and I can debunk this crap, why would Samantha Bee go on a show yesterday? This article did not come out yesterday. Oh, actually, just recently came out. But I knew about it this weekend. She could have done research and found this. She could have. I knew about this on the weekend. I knew about it Saturday. Saturday, I read the debunking of this. I just didn't do a video on it. I figured everybody knew about it, but now it gives me an opportunity to go back and inform all of you. I'm not saying that these children are great and they're in Disney World and they're all partying, you know, and they got, you know, I don't know. But to say just that somebody is being trafficked, to say that children are being, not somebody, to say that children are being trafficked without any evidence of that, based on numbers that were collected before the program began, that is now even in place, it just seems to me like you just don't care about facts. So if you want to get rid of Samantha Bee, how about get rid of her for not being accurate? How about get rid of her for being at least willfully inaccurate, if not intentionally inaccurate? How about we do that?